whereas Combat is a consistent, in-your-face, building up towards that red buff killing spree. So it's a different play style and a different feel, but Juveniles are going to be sticking with it, not trying anything new out here in the first game.
All right, as the gates are about to open, we are going to see how the team of Follow Esports can handle this opener because, of course, we are going to be seeing Roasties on your screen just pushing his way on in. And there we go, a sap onto Vossel to start things off. But you can see, wow, the Feral and the Rogue almost stepped on top of each other.
Yeah, and we have the opening pressure right now. Cheap shots onto Vossel, but with no crowd control onto Absurge. They're going to deal with this very well. Gouge onto Walter into the full kidney shot, but they don't chain the CC onto Absurge. He's able to ground that poly. They get the clone, though. Walter getting bursted. He trinkets into another cheap shot, but he did get that survival instincts damage reduction cooldown up, so he's barely clinging on here at 24%. Pops that Incarnation defensively, trying to stun up Roasty right now and prevent him from doing damage. Now rotating the stun onto Cubsy, but he's going to sit through a full blind. Excellent usage from Roasty, now going for the Vanish, trying to get the sap, chains it into the sap, sorry, and goes for the cheap shot immediately onto Vossel. What are they going to do to follow it up? Deep Freeze is now available for Wealthy Man.
All right, and it was amazing to see that the second the link went down, the team of Juveniles started pulling back. But look at the damage you're putting onto Roasties, having to force the NS regrowth out because Cubsy is going to be playing that Soul of the Forest spec, so he's going to get huge, gigantic regrowths off of that Nature Swiftness.
Yeah, and we can see now the Incarnation Berserk combo fading for Walter, and with that, their pressure is going to be lost as we see the Juveniles retreating back to their original side of the map. Vossel pushing forward, realizing that most of these RMDs continue to neglect him, trying to take advantage of that and play very offensive and in their face. And I'm curious if the Juveniles are going to move to pressure that as we see Roasty starting to attack and building up some combo points for the next attack. Shadow Dance and Deep Freeze are available. Walter pushing in. He has no trinket available for this next kidney shot. He could be in trouble. Looks like they might set it up with the Gouge instead. The kidney shot onto Vossel. Now Shadow Dance cheap shot swap onto Walter. Triple CC out for Juveniles. They land the full poly. Vossel gets out of that clone, but into a half stun. Walter could be in quite a bit of trouble here. Cubsy still chaining those cyclones. He needs to rotate that onto Absurge here shortly. The Shadow Fury lands. He's going to trinket out of that, but he gets Blood Elf silenced. Excellent follow-up from Vossel. Very unexpected for Cubsy.
This must be a great game to be Vossel, where he just basically can stand in the middle and cast whatever he wants, because he knows that they're going to go on Walter Bear every time instead of him.
Yeah, and now the full kidney shot, smoke bomb dropped. Absurge needs to reconnect and get some heals here. He's running into the center field, but he's going to get Vanish cheap shot on the way in. He does have his trinket available. He drops the link right before the clone lands. Cubsy just a little bit late on the trigger means that his team will survive. Roasty now getting cloned up, pressure across the board, but they chain it into a full poly out of that clone without even needing Deep Freeze, which means that this crowd control chain onto Absurge is going to be quite long as he goes into another polymorph. Wealthy Man looking for another one out of that. He still has a Deep Freeze, but he gets locked on Frost. Excellent kick from Walter, who's going to break up that CC onto Absurge.
And there's the Deep Freeze as Wealthy Man gets a big heal from Cubsy right there with the NS. But look at the Cyclone with Walter Bear down to half, taking a ton of damage right there. The Dark Soul comes out. Excellent crowd control change as look at Roasties just running after him. Walter Bear is going to have to go into bear form right now and trying to live. The pre-evasion popped. And look at how Roasties also just taking a ton of damage too.
How is he alive? This CC chain onto Absurge has been at least 30 seconds. It's still going. Walter is on the run. He needs to stay alive. He needs to stay above water, just running circles away. He's down to 4%, down to 2. Absurge is somehow keeping him alive, down at 7%. Absurge, the god, keeping him alive, down at 7%. Walter Bear has done it. He's kited through the storm, and he will survive this setup, but it's setting up again. A clone onto Absurge, a poly onto Vossel. Walter is still alone, but he's still alive. Throws the bash onto Roasty. Roasty trinkets that to try and desperately reconnect. They want to put Walter down right now. He pops the Incarnation in desperation to try and make a turnaround. Roasty's overextending here quite a bit, down at half. Cubsy has to use that Iron Bark to stabilize. What a close call for Follow Esports in this first game.
And Walter Bear is going to go for the Incarnation onto Cubsy as he's down to half, but he did get blinded off, followed by a Gouge. Just lots of control out of Roasties, who is going to stand still and wait, excellently popping the cloak before re-engaging on to Walter Bear. Walter Bear is just going to ride this Incarnation out, not doing a ton of damage, but just as I say that, Wealthy Man gets bursted down to about half right now. Vossel is doing an incredible job of keeping that pressure up.
Yeah, but Walter's getting stun lock comboed right now. Absurge is not crowd controlled. They're going on the offense. They want to chase down Juveniles right now. Absurge in center field might go for some Lava Burst, spamming that Purge over and over. Wealthy Man doing whatever he can, landing a full poly. Are they going to make a bit of a turnaround here? Walter Bear throws out that bash. outputting a lot of pressure. He did not pre-feint this stun. He does not have Cloak of Shadows. Cubsy needs to keep him alive. He trinkets to do so. Getting some hots rolling here. Wealthy Man getting locked out. A half fear onto Cubsy, but Walter is caught into a full kidney shot once again. He needs to survive this near-death experience. Down to 17%. Goes into bear form. Comet Storm connects. Absurge is still crowd controlled. No trinket available for 3 more seconds. Follow Esports are going to fall to Juveniles in game 1, but a very hard-fought effort for them.
Wow, that wasn't so close on being able to trinket that round of CC. And wow, I cannot believe how long Walter Bear survived in the middle of that match.
Yeah, it was excellent play from Walter, always knowing when he's in trouble and getting the heck out of the way. Unfortunately, he couldn't do it forever. They overextended a bit for that chase and couldn't capitalize it and ended up going down. But we're going to throw it to Bajira.
Wealthy Man down also. So it seems like they have a lot of viable targets to kill if these games get drawn out.
Yeah, Walter Bear was doing a great job to space out his Incarnation and Berserk. Rather than stacking them together and getting caught in a stun, he was spacing them out to get a little bit more damage over time. But I feel like they just overextended. They played so solidly against Tempo Storm on defense. Right there, maybe they got overexcited. Everyone's kind of low. We've just survived. Let's push in. Unfortunately, Deep Freeze comes up, chain it into a clone, and that's going to spell victory for Juveniles in game 1. Let's see if they can do it again in game 2 as Roasties pushes forward, lands a full sap onto Vassal. Who are they going to rotate it around onto? Doesn't look like they're going to be able to get it, but Cubsy fakes out that counterspell right away, and that is very important for Juveniles to get some big CC chains out early on.
I thought Walter Bear was going to get a good Cyclone off there, but he actually got kicked, I do believe. There we go. Shadow Dance already really early. Looks like they are just going to go onto Walter Bear as he's down below at about half right now, but the roots come out on to Roasties as Roasties is going to have to sit through that entire route, which is going to cause his Shadow Dance to fade. Walter Bear looks like, there we go. Now we're going to have the Incarnation, and it looks like Cubsy was the target of choice at that point, but Walter Bear is going to get full blinded on that Incarnation.
Yeah, they're always doing a great job to shut down Walter. He always trinkets in the open, so they're punishing him with that blind stab, and I can appreciate the patience from Roasty to save that for him. Now they're going to be looking for the next setup. Deep Freeze available, Frozen Orb as well. Wealthy Man building up full Icicles here shortly. There goes the Orb. Here surely the Deep Freeze is going to come. Absurge has grounding down, but he doesn't get it. He ends up getting polyed off of the Deep Freeze, and this could be it for Walter. He pops the Survival Instincts. He pops the Berserk as well, trying to make a bit of a damage turnaround onto Cubsy, but he's got that Bark Skin to respond. Will it be enough? Down to half, displaces away. He's going to survive for now. Walter in retreat with Absurge, trying to output some bleeds here onto Roasty, who finds himself caught in a full stun, but Cubsy is there, holding his shoulder, keeping him alive with those excellent heals.
Yeah, and I got to give it to Roasties. At the beginning of this match, he shut down the entire Incarnation, but look at the damage turned back around on him. The Hex lands on Wealthy Man, which gets immediately removed, and then we see the Shadow Dance to turn it around onto Walter Bear. There's a lot of damage. Deep onto Absurge right now. The crowd control is coming out with the bash, and Walter Bear barely lives for a second, but the link is dropped.
He got into it.
Wow.
He actually got into the link. Absurge had to drop it where he stood, and he managed to get inside, but he gets polyed out of the clone. Well-timed polymorph from Wealthy Man could end this game. Walter is still just completely alone, down at 8%, and he knocks Roasties down off the side, barely staying alive in bear form. He wants to win this game and stay in it, but Absurge is just still getting crowd controlled. He's down at 12%, caught in a full stun. Absurge is cloned up, and that's going to be it. Despite surviving so long, the crowd control chains are too perfect out from Juve. So they're going to be reducing the stuns coming out from Roasty here, and that's very important in this matchup. We see Roasty's moving forward, standing right on top of Jellybeans for a second, but not finding him. Lava Burst cheekily being thrown out by Absurge onto Wealthy Man, but they found their target. Murder of Crows up on the Cubsy. He bark skins immediately. Will it be enough as they're all going on offense? But nice cheap shots out from Roasty allow Cubsy to get a nice clone. They're going to rotate the pressure back onto Walter Bear. He trinkets that, pops that Survival Instincts, goes for the Berserk as Barkskin has now faded for Cubsy. He's going to chain that into the heart of the wild. Walter Bear now sitting through a full blind, and once again Roasty's shutting down the aggression of Walter.
And he really did, and the cross CC from both Cubsy and Roasties are just doing such a great job, because when we saw that cheap shot to peel just for a second off of Cubsy, then he was able to toss out that Cyclone, and it was incredible just casting right in his face. As we do see a Cyclone come out on to JBZ. Look at the damage coming out onto Walter Bear. The triple DR cheap shot stun with a Cyclone onto Absurge. Walter Bear is just running to try to find his target, as both it's going to force Absurge in a really bad position as the Healing Tide comes down right there. But look at the full trap onto Cubsy. as Roasties knows that the damage is going to be coming out, followed by the Hex onto Wealthy Man 2, which gets immediately dispelled once that fades.
Yeah, Cubsy did a great job to preemptively get into bear form for that trap. They might have wanted to swap to him, but now we see Roasty with the setup. Cheap shots on everyone. Everyone is in a stun lock. Absterge has to trinket out of that. Drops the Spirit Link to connect the health bars of his team. Now we see Walter Bear bringing on the aggression towards Cubsy. He's caught in a full bash. They're going to use the Murder of Crows. Cubsy once again efficiently trading that bar skin forward. He's down to half, trades the Iron Bark and the Nature Swiftness as well. Jellybean's playing that Beastmaster. His damage is very predictable, and Cubsy's doing a great job to read it.
It is, and Absterge is going to be caught yet again with that Frost Jaw, as the CC chain is just relentless on him, constantly stuck in CC, but they are going to turn around onto Walter Bear. The smoke bomb is dropped, and look at the cross CC right now. JBZ in that Cyclone with Absterge sheeped also, as Walter Bear is somehow living through this, as the CC chain is never going to end, as he's trying to run away and LOS for a little bit, and that is it. That seals the deal for Juvenile, and they are going to move on to the grand finals.
Yep, and that's a great position to be in. They have their ticket to BlizzCon. Now it's just the difference of $30,000, which is nothing too small in itself, but they're going to be happy about making it to BlizzCon at this point, and Follow Esports have to reconsider their game. Just stay calm, stay level-headed. They still have one more chance to make it to BlizzCon. Don't get upset about this. We can see even Jellybeans just playing it out, trying to go for this Murder of Crows at the end, but it's not going to get anything done, as Absterge is sitting through that crowd control at the moment, and Cubsy did great to respond to this composition switch from Follow Esports.
Hey, he really did. He knew he was going to be the target, and like you said, those choices of...
Now, probably one of the most iconic raids of all time, and one of the most story relevant. Now, Icecrown Citadel was the final raid in Wrath of the Lich King, and also the fortress of the Lich King himself, which was the main villain at the time. Now, in my opinion, this is the only raid and maybe the only expansion so far where you actually had a feel you were fighting the Lich King and that he was a direct threat to the world and that every action against Artist kinda made an effect. So it was something completely different. You really just had this feel you were fighting a greater evil and there was an actual threat to the world. It wasn't just like in Cataclysm. Even though, for example, Deathwing was amazing, he still wasn't that much of a threat, even though lore-wise he was. But in Wrath of the Lich King, there was just this feel about it with Artis, and the Icecrown Citadel was the peak of it. Now, just entering the Icecrown Citadel was amazing. You had all these giant skeletons and spiders defending the entrance, and then just like with Karazhan, you had this multiple floor thing, which leads to the final encounter, and that was the Lich King. Now, this isn't just a regular raid or just like a minor boss. This is Artis, I mean the one who destroyed the entirety of Lordaeron and took over Northrend, and made the Scourge to what it was, pretty much a major threat to the entire world and a force of its own, completely splitting apart from the Burning Legion. Now, ever since Warcraft 3, the story has just been building up, so it finally can be finished in this raid, and once you get to the top, you actually had the feeling you were at the top of the world and at the throne of the Lich King, the evil himself. And after a long fight together with Tyrion, Arthas was finally defeated, and thus the entire storyline, which was one of the most important storylines in the entire Warcraft universe, finally ended.
King rules forever, my son.
I see. Only darkness before me.
And lastly, number 1, Ulduar. Now, the reason why this is number 1 on the list is because it matches all of these qualities that I've considered for this list. So mechanics, atmosphere, and the lore, and also the receival of the community. Now, it came out in a patch during Wrath of the Lich King expansion, and soon it turned out to be, as a lot of people call it, the peak of the World of Warcraft raiding. Now, it is an ancient titan complex located in Storm Peaks, and the entire thing is just an addition to the still ongoing story of the Titans and how they got to this world and how they pretty much made this world as it is. Now, the raid itself though had multiple bosses, and every boss was just like a completely different thing. Now, both mechanics wise and environment wise, and the entire thing felt like a part of something. It wasn't just like one of those raids or dungeons where you just go there, fight bosses just standing there and waiting for you to attack them, and they aren't really nothing more than just obstacles that you have to complete in order to finish the raid. While in Ulduar it was completely different. I mean, you were fighting all these crazy bosses, these constructs, titan watchers, dragons, and all in their own chambers that matched the entire thing. And apart from that, it felt like it was made for the Titans. I mean, everything in Ulduar was giant, and you had all these massive doorways and walls that made you feel like an ant in the entire thing. And it was just something different and something that wasn't just a weekly grindfest, and hopefully there will be raid like this in the future of the game that will be able to actually match the greatness of Ulduar.
Bran Bronzebeard's forces assaulted the gates of Ulduar. They battled the Iron Lords and their cursed minions.
Evasive action! Evasive action!
He won't stop talking about this presence he felt, permeating the great halls, stirring in their minds, chilling their blood. He said, the horror that the Titans imprisoned so long ago, Yogg Saron, has awakened.
So that is all I have for this list. Of course, this doesn't mean that the other raids sucked or anything like that. This is just my opinion on them from my own perspective. But anyways, which raids do you like the most and you thought were the best ones in the game? And also give some reasons why. And also don't forget to leave some